To attain the unified Tao of the universe, Tuolins must incarnate as humans and live in the four forms of human life. That is another saying that the first Tuolin said in the conference, unifying the practicing path of Tuolin life forms before they incarnated as humans.
A student interrupted the teacher.
Teacher, is there any difference between the Tao of the universe and the task of transforming the yin and yang energy embryo of Tuolins into an energy filter?
The teacher looked at all the students and said,
It's not that different. As follows. To transform the original yin and yang energy embryo into an energy filter, the Tuolins must live in human form for countless lives. They must live and fully interact with all scenarios in the four forms of human life. The purpose is to understand the three secrets, force out all toxins, and activate the maximum goodness in the yin and yang energy embryo. When the production process of energy particles ensures sufficient quantity and quality, the yin and yang energy embryo is qualified to be transformed into an energy filter. That is the mission of each Tuolin's practicing journey in the human world. The result after transforming the yin and yang energy embryo into an energy filter is to attain the unified Tao of the universe. Thus, when each Tuolin completes its practice, they officially attain the unified Tao of the universe. It is the practice process and the value of the results achieved after completing the task.
Another student immediately asked the teacher,
Teacher, in today's lesson, are you going to teach us new knowledge of the two truths?
The teacher replied,
It is both new and not new. It is new knowledge because I have been teaching you a new knowledge from the past to the present. It is not new knowledge because I have already talked about it in the lesson of the conference to gather humanity. Do you remember what I said in that lesson?
The students said together,
Teacher said that the image of the great gathering of humanity contains many secrets, and you said you would teach us in the next lessons.
The teacher smiled and said,
Your memory is excellent. In today's lesson, I will analyze those secrets so that you can understand the value of attaining the unified Tao of the universe through four forms in human life that each Tuoling must live and practice. First, you need to remember the words of the first Tuolin. To attain the unified Tao of the universe, Tuolins must incarnate as humans and live in the four forms of human life. And now we will discover the secret of the four forms of human life in the great gathering of humanity. In that gathering, the entire image and four teachings of Nalas Nalanda constitute four forms of human life. He spoke about the four forms of human life at the conference, unifying the path of practicing practice before they incarnated as humans. Four forms of human life are family, social, educational, and national. They are encoded as follows. Family form. Plus family form is the relationship between husband and wife, parents to children, children to parents, siblings to each other, and living people to their ancestors. Plus, the image encoded into the family form at the human conference is that each family has a father, mother, son, and daughter. Each gathering point has many households, and it is a symbol of family relationships in the human community. Each family has only one wife and one husband, a spouse relationship. The first Tuolin used this arrangement rule according to the standard one ratio of the bonding structure between negative and positive energy particles. The image of parents and two children is the relationship between parents and children. The image of two children is the relationship between siblings. The language encoded into the family form is the teaching of the first Tuolin after he looked at the parents and said, I assign you the task of marrying your children to each other so that they can form a new family and have children to build humanity. His teachings show that family relationships will grow and become complex as children are married to each other to form new households and produce children. This process in the future will create countless generations of humans. That forms the relationship between the living and their ancestors. Social form. Plus social form is the interactive relationships in each person's life. It includes the relationships between humans and all species in different environments, social communities, and productive labor. Plus, the image encoded into the social form is that households are gathered at each gathering point, and there are many gathering points of humanity. That image shapes the relationships between people within a group of people and between people and other groups. The image of Twillins residing in human form and living in that form shows that they must work and survive in the human world. It is a code for relationships in productive labor for survival. Images of animals convened at the Congress show the relationship between humans and animals. Plus, the language encoded into social form is the teaching of the first Twillin when he looked at all households and animals and said to them, "I give you the mission to tame the animals so that their souls can also become human and practice together." And his other commandment, "You will have to go through all the sufferings of life in many human lives." These teachings are encoded into the social form of each Twillin that must live in it when transformed into a human. Educational form. Plus, the form of education is the relationship of transmitting knowledge and is called the relationship between teacher and student. Plus, the image is encoded into the teacher-student relationship. First are the teachings of the first Twillin to the households and animals at the gathering points. That is the image of the first teacher-student relationship in the human world. The image of parents and small children is a family and teacher-student relationship. Parents' teachings to their children after the great gathering of humanity is the image of the second teacher-student relationship in the human world. Plus, the language encoded into the teacher-student relationship is the four teachings of the first Twillin in each conference gathering humanity. It is the first and most thorough knowledge on the practicing journey of all Twillins in the human world in human form. National form. Plus, national form is the relationship between all people and species within a territory. Plus, the image encoded into the national form is that each gathering point of humanity has many households and animals participating. That image shapes every relationship between humans, animals, and territory. In particular, at each gathering point, the first Twillin plays the leading role in teaching all humans and animals to help each other on the journey of practice in the human world. This image shows that the leader teaches and cares for the people and their creatures. People and all species listen to the instructions of the leader. In addition, the image of many gathering points is the image of many countries, creating an interactive relationship between different national forms. The language encoded into national relationships is the four teachings of the first Twillin at each gathering point of humanity. It represents a harmonious relationship from top to bottom and helps each other develop sustainably. The four forms of human life that each Twillin must live in are encoded through the images and teachings of Nalas Nalanda in each gathering point of humanity. It is simple and not yet complicated in creating countless interaction scenarios like today's society, but it is a guideline and a core value for every soul to practice. From the sites of the Great Assembly of Humanity, the four forms of human life constantly evolved to form countless interactive scenarios to this day. Although there are numerous interaction scenarios in modern society, it still carries within itself the core values of the four forms of human life encoded through his images and teachings at the great gathering of humanity.
A student immediately asked the teacher when he saw him sitting beside the table to enjoy warm tea,
Teacher, thus the rules are the four forms of human life that Twillins must live and interact with when incarnating as humans. Is that right, teacher?
The teacher continued the lecture.
Your question is interesting. When you finish listening to this lecture, you will have a complete answer to that question and other questions related to the four forms of human life. So you have learned the secret of the conference gathering humanity. The images and teachings of the first Twillin in that conference have been encoded into four forms of human life from that time to now and into the future. Those four life forms create countless interactive scenarios to help each Twillin force out all the toxins within them and activate maximum goodness. In addition, four magical forms help each Twillin transmute sustainably and obtain the energy filter in their yin and yang embryos. At that time, each Twillin will attain the unified Tao of the universe. From the close connection and value that the four forms of human life bring to the unified Tao of the universe, I call those four forms of life the four forms of the Tao. So from now on, you have a new term, the four forms of the unified Tao of the universe. It includes the family Tao, the social Tao, the teacher and student Tao, and the national Tao. When each Tulin incarnates into a human, they must live in the four forms of the Tao to attain the Tao that unifies the universe. That means that through the four Tao forms, each Tulin will reach the value of the Tao mind. Achieving the mind of the Tao, the knowledge of the two truths and the smallest energy particle, is the key for each Tulin to practice the mechanism of sustainable transmutation in the four forms of the Tao. The four forms of Wei create four types of the mind of the Tao. The four types of the mind of the Tao form the unified Tao of the universe. The form and mind of the Tao must be closely linked together in inseparability. If separated, no Tulin will attain the unified Way of the universe. Before I analyze the value of the four types of the mind of the Tao, you need to clearly understand the value of Tulin before incarnating as a human. Before incarnating as humans, all Tulins are children, except for the first Tulin, because he was a mature Tulin and had the most magical power in the universe. Tulins are immature because there are only a small number of energy particles in their structure. Those few energy particles cannot help them become mature Tulings. Those few energy particles do not help Tuling children have the intellectual power to understand all the secrets of themselves, other Tulins, everything in and outside the universe, including destructive energy. Because of Paradise's pure and peaceful environment, they cannot grow up quickly. When immature, the meager energy particles in the structure of Tulins are incapable of connecting and operating the life of all physical forms in the universe. The energy of destruction even quickly destroys them. You can understand that baby Tulins do not yet have enough groups of energy particles encoded into functions within their structure. Therefore, baby Tulins are holy, innocent, and lovely when not yet incarnated as humans. There are good things because they were born and raised in the wonderful environment of Paradise. However, it is also an obstacle that hinders growth and causes death to the Tulin life form. However, when Tulin babies incarnate as humans and live in the four forms in the human world, they step on the path of sustainable transformation through all the scenarios of interaction in suffering. Through the process of forcing out toxins and activating goodness during countless lifetimes of practice in the human world, the souls have matured. They have produced numerous sustainable energy particles, all encoded into groups of particles with precise functions. That strengthens mature souls when their energy structure achieves full strength to promote sustainable development for themselves and all things in and outside the universe. Groups of energy particles are encoded into functions and tasks that are formed from the four forms of human life. We call it the Tao mind. The four types of the mind of the Tao form the unified Tao of the universe. The value of four types of the Tao mind. Family Tao. Through all interactive scenarios in family relationships, souls force out all toxins and activate maximum goodness in the original yin and yang embryo. They then produce countless sustainable energy particles related to family relationships. Those excellent energy particles help the structure of the soul mature quickly. When the soul grows due to that large number of stable energy particles, that soul has a large number of intellectual wave code fiber systems that encode excellent information values within. It is encoded information about loving yourself and all other life forms in and out of the universe in non-discrimination. This group of energy particles that encode immeasurable love is only formed when each soul goes through all the scenarios in the family Tao form over many lifetimes of practice. Something that baby Tulins cannot have when they cannot live and interact in the family form. Social Tao. Through all interaction scenarios in social relationships, souls force out all toxins and activate maximum goodness in the yin and yang embryo. Sustainable energy particles are born to help the soul mature and become strong. This group of energy particles is encoded into functions and tasks to support the soul's magical power. It is a group of energy particles with closely linked values for the sustainable development of Tulins and all life forms in and outside the universe. When baby Tulins have not yet been incarnated as humans and have not yet experienced all the interaction scenarios in the social form, they will not have this group of energy particles that carry the power of cohesion and sustainable development. Teacher and student Tao. Through interactive scenarios in the relationship between teacher and student, such as in education, in religions, and the transmission of knowledge between people, the soul achieves growth into this group of energy particles. They learn how to force out all the toxins and maximize the goodness in the original yin and yang energy embryo. The form of teacher and student helps Twilins produce countless stable energy particles in each reaction. The durable energy particles of this group help souls have the power of wisdom, which is enlightened wisdom. The intellectual wave code system in this group of energy particles encodes the functions and tasks for the Tuolin that has the power to transmit knowledge for sustainable development to all other Tuolins and other life forms inside and outside the universe. When Tuolins have not yet transformed into humans, they cannot have this group of magical energy particles. This group of energy particles helps Tuolins connect and operate all things in the universe when they transform yin and yang embryos into energy filters. National Tao. Through all interactive scenarios in the National Tao form, the souls gradually eliminate all toxins and maximize goodness. This group of energy particles produced will help the soul mature and have magical power because of the information values encoded inside their intellectual wave code fiber system. At that time, the mature Tuolin could unite all Tuolins and other life forms. All combine under the guidance of the first Tuolin to protect and develop the Tuoling life form and make all things in and outside the universe sustainable. When the soul is not yet mature, it will not have this group of functional energy particles. You need to remember that the form of Family Tao helps develop the group of energy particles in the soul that carries the value of love in non-discrimination. The Social Tao helps the soul develop a cohesive group of energy particles and develop sustainably. The Tao of teacher and student assists the soul in creating a group of energy particles that spread enlightened wisdom, wisdom that develops sustainably. Tao's national form helps the Twilin generate a group of energy particles that carry the unified value in respect. To be qualified to transform yin and yang embryos into energy filters, they must produce sufficient quantity and quality for all four groups of functional energy particles in the four forms of the Tao. When successfully transforming the original yin and yang embryo into an energy filter, the Tuolin officially attains the unified Tao of the universe. With the power of the four Tao minds, the intelligence of that Tuolin will integrate and unite with the intelligence of all things and all life forms in and outside the universe. At that time, that Tuolin has the power of immense love and solidarity in respect to spread enlightened wisdom and sustainable development values to all forms of life in and outside the universe.
A student said to the teacher,
Master, if everyone wants to complete the task on the path of practice in the human world and attain the unified Tao of the universe, they must produce sufficient quantity and quality of energy particles for all four forms of the Tao. If they have not completed it, they cannot return to their homeland.
The teacher laughed and replied,
It's true. The souls completed their practice by transforming the yin and yang embryos into energy filters. If not completed, they continue to reincarnate in the human world until completed. When they attain the unified Tao of the universe, they can incarnate as humans to perform tasks and save sentient beings. You must remember that if Tuolins do not achieve the unified way of the universe, they will still be easily destroyed by the energy of destruction. When certain Tuolin attains the unified way of the universe, they have the power to absorb the energy of destruction and produce super energy particles to help protect and develop the universe to become sustainable.
Another student said to the teacher,
Teacher, after studying this lesson, I have answered many questions about religious and philosophical perspectives. I have understood that God is a benevolent Father and a teacher with perfectly enlightened wisdom. He silently guides all souls and humans on the journey of practice to attain the unified way of the universe. He always worries, cares, and helps sentient beings, souls, and people. Only humans do not understand him while he understands everything.
The teacher said,
That's right. When you understand the knowledge of the two truths and the three secrets, race against time to practice the path of sustainable transformation. Don't wait for anything in the future. Practicing correctly and bringing sustainable development value to yourself, everyone and all species is the most valuable gratitude to the first Tuolin. Instead of praying to God, Buddha, or any other soul, practice good deeds. That is the path to attain the unified Tao of the universe.